Alright, what's up friends, and welcome back to another Battle Brothers Devblog review. Apologies for the tardiness of the video, I've been a little unwell and been unable to record. But never mind that, let's get into what is probably one of the last devblogs, if not the last devblog, before the main game, or the main DLC gets released next week. I believe it's May 9th, I think it was. Anyway, more weapons! Tools of Death. The Warriors of the North DLC for Battle Brothers will be released on May 9th, with a whole bunch of features. You can read up on those and add the DLC to your wishlist here. In the meantime, let's talk about an important topic we haven't touched on yet. New weapons. With the DLC, you'll also get your hands on new tools of death, including hybrid and niche weapons to create new builds and tactics with. Let's take a look. The Bardiche is a variant of the Great Axe with a differently shaped head and a longer shaft. Shaft. Like the Great Axe, it comes with the split man skill for great single target damage. But while the Great Axe has more damage potential against up to 6 targets with its round swing skill, the Bardiche instead comes with the split skill of great swords for more surgical precision and hitting 2 targets in a straight line at once. Like the Great Axe, the Bardiche is excellent in destroying shields and penetrating armor. That is so cool, I love that. Like halfway through this paragraph, I was a little bit unsure about its usefulness until right here where it said excellent in destroying shields. So basically it's going to be a Great Axe, just without the round swing, it's going to have split. And I think, honestly, that is so much better than the Great Axe. The Great Axe is an odd weapon because when it's good, it's arguably the best in the game. It's not as reliable as a Warhammer, for example. But more often than not, when I've built a Great Axe user, I'm almost never able to use the round swing because of how dangerous it is, and you end up either forgetting about it or misclicking and decapitating your own brothers. But with this, I can see this holding an inside flank of my 7-man front formation. That's going to give you some shield breaking utility, and split, and it's good against armor. I can imagine now, Warhammer, open space, Great Axe, Great Sword, Dagger, Great Sword, Great Axe, space, Warhammer being my front line. And then on the back line you can have some shield breakers, which are also the Dane Axe users, and then that's 4 axes to break shields with, which sounds really, really good. Bardiche, love it. The Staff Sling, this is clearly for the peasant army playthrough. A simple weapon used since ancient times and the favourite of many a shepherd, the Staff Sling is used to hurl stones towards the enemy. It's not particularly accurate or damaging, but it's cheap, and with stones abundant everywhere, it will never run out of ammunition. 2 stones can be hurled each turn, and on hitting a target in the head, it will inflict the dazed status effect. Very, very interesting. I mean, clearly it has its issues because of the lack of damage. But this is clearly intended for the peasant army, and you're supposed to spam the crap out of it. What worries me is the low accuracy, because really what I would want to use this on is someone who's not that great at ranged skill, but then they're never going to hit anything. And I don't want to see its range. I imagine it would have a throwing weapon range, or maybe one longer. Super, super interesting. Maybe if there's a legendary version, it might be usable. It strikes me as one of these stopgap weapons that I might pick up right in the early game, and then eventually the person using it will graduate to using a warbow at some point. The Scimitar. An exotic curved sword from the south, the Scimitar and its higher tier cousin, the Shamshir, are excellent for cutting deep wounds. They are less suited for thrusting than straight swords, however, and therefore have a harder time penetrating armor. Like other swords, they come with the slash skill, but unlike those, they don't have the riposte skill as a second. Instead, they have the decapitate skill of cleavers. Well, I found my new swordsman's weapon. Oh, that's fucking amazing. I'm thinking of a swordsman with duelist, and then he carries this, and let's say a noble sword as a secondary if he's got some armor to take care of, but... So if it will have the plus to hit accuracy, it's just straight up better than a cleaver. Presumably it'll have... Is it going to have lower damage stats? I don't think so. Swords tend to have higher damage stats. I can imagine they'll give it a lower bleeding effect, if it even has bleeding at all. Okay, so it won't have bleeding. Okay. That's definitely going to be nice for my swordsman. I'm going to like that. In my experimentation with the fencing sword, I found it to be of limited use. Maybe you make the argument of starting your swordsman with a fencing sword and you just use it to leap in, get that first hit off, and you quick hands to your scimitar and go to work. Very interesting. So heavy javelins and heavy throwing axe. Yes, baby! This is especially encouraging for me because I'm really starting to lean towards my hybrid archers who have bow mastery and throwing weapon mastery. These are going to do amazing for shredding armor. So for users of throwing weapons that long for an extra bit of oomph, the DLC adds the heavy javelin and heavy throwing axe. They are sometimes used by barbarians and can be looted off of their cold, dead hands. That sounds amazing, especially because you have to pay the iron price for them. The Warfork. A pitchfork reforged into a battlefield weapon. The Warfork is the pride of any militiaman, and looks right at home with the new peasant militia company origin. It's a lower tier variant of the Scetum, which has in turn been slightly buffed. Like the Scetum, it is a specialized polearm that can be used to form a more deadly yet more fatiguing spear wall than with a one-handed spear. Particularly useful against non-sentient beasts, but also against humans if your battle line is long enough. Okay, that's nice. The Warfork in itself isn't that super useful. I haven't struggled too much in the past with going from the regular pitchfork up to the Scetum, but it's nice to, always nice to have a little mid-tier weapon. But the biggest thing for me then is buffing of the Scetum. For a while I've been playing around with a Scetum and spear user type of build, which would be a very low tier brother, particularly in the peasant militia, who stays with a Scetum on the back line and then has rotate and then can quick hands to a shield and a spear on the front line if he needs to. Nice versatility. I love the way that all these weapons they're adding just increases the tactical flexibility of your armies. I can't wait to dive in. And last but not least, the Battle Whip. The Battle Whip is a specialized weapon with plenty of strengths, but also a clear weakness. Covering a whole 3 tiles, it has the longest range of any melee weapon currently in the game. Hitting an enemy with the Whip skill will inflict 2 stacks of the bleeding status effect at once. And because the weapon is classified as a cleaver, this skill also benefits from taking the Cleaver Mastery perk for further bleeding damage. However, the weapon doesn't have a high base damage, and while it can be deadly against unarmored or lightly armored targets, it performs dismally against armored ones. Whoa, that is so interesting. And just as I was crapping on the cleaver skill and how I've always struggled with using cleavers and not really found a place for them, here I can see going for like a sort of torturer build where you have a high hit point dodgy type of guy who uses a whip and a cleaver. This now gives you an incredible skill set for killing unholds. And I'm also starting to realize now that this is the 3rd weapon type that gives you some sort of crowd control. So you have the stuns and the daze of the 1- and 2-handed maces respectively. And then there's the dazed effect from the war sling. Then there's the disarm ability of the battle whip. Now you put that all together on your peasant militia and you've got, good God, you can disarm if you do it well, like damn near half. Disarm or crowd control damn near half the enemy force. And that is, I think, what I'm going to be experimenting with when I do my peasant militia. I want to go as crowd control heavy as possible. Maces on the front line. The whip, I assume, can attack over 2 tiles? 3 tiles. So you can even keep these guys in the back line. And then they can rotate forward. But let's say you start with a shield and a whip, and then you have a cleaver in your inventory. As the enemies approach, whip, whip, whip. Depending on what you're attacking, you go for your cleaver or you go for your whip. It's also going to be interesting to see how, if at all, this synergizes with the duelist. Because, excuse me, a duelist with a whip can then double stack those bleed effects. I can also, just for the lulz, see myself doing a cultist playthrough where every single one, all 12, use whips and cleavers. It'll be so stupid. It's not going to work at all. It'll be hopeless against the undead. But when it does work, it'll be absolutely hysterical, and you'll just disarm and whip the shit out of everything. Very interesting. This seems like a bit memey, but we're all about the memes. So, DLC support tradition. Thanks to the overwhelmingly positive response to our announcement of the Warriors of the North DLC, and many people expressing their desire to support us again even beyond the asking price, we've decided to also offer it as a special supporter edition again. The supporter edition includes the Warriors of the North DLC, as well as an additional new player banner and shields with a Nordic motif as a thank you from us to you. The bundle will be priced at $18.99, and you can already add the second part of it to your wishlist here as well, which I will be doing. I'm not going to get much chance to use these Norse flavoured styles in my first two playthroughs. Like I said, I'm going to be doing cultist and peasant playthroughs, but then the third and fourth will undoubtedly be the Nordic raiders. Mounted combat, oh god. Oh man, okay, so overall my body is ready. I can't wait. Come on, Battle Brothers. Okay friends, thanks for watching. I'm Stobbie149. This is the Devblog 123 review. Just as I sign off, I will be releasing, I'm going to aim to release 4 hour-long episodes on the day of release, and then 1 or 2 hour-long episodes every day after that until I can start streaming again, at which point when I start streaming we'll do a day at a time of each of the 2 playthroughs. I cannot wait. Well friends, like I said, thanks for watching, and yeah, please check out the link in the description for my Discord, where we have Battle Brothers related discussions. There's a lot of very knowledgeable guys in my Discord, so if you have questions about how to play the game, I might not be able to answer them myself, but some of the guys like Bosco and the other guys who are in my Discord know a hell of a lot about Battle Brothers, so please check it out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys on the 9th of May.